Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. Man, I am so excited today. It is of course almost Christmas time, and you know, Christmas is one of my favorite times of the season, not just because you get to be with family and you know, the seasons change and all that other stuff, just people tend to be a little bit nicer during this time of year. So that being said, today we're going to focus a little bit on some of the sketches that I've done earlier on in the month in preparation for the season. So if you guys follow me on this channel, you know that I love to draw. I typically draw something small, something fun, almost every single day. Even though I don't post, I still typically draw something every day. And if you follow me, you know that I posted some Christmas Yetis in different Christmas poses just for fun. I think I might turn those into NFTs. I haven't decided yet. But today we're going to be inking one of those Christmas Yeti sketches that I did. And we're going to be using the Xencelabs medium tablet. The Xencelabs company, for those of you who are unfamiliar, is one of those breakout companies in 2021 that has really taken hold of the tablet market with their tablet series. So this is the tablet in question. I did a review on this tablet a while back, and the fit and finish and the quality is absolutely phenomenal. The way they package things, their design language, the ease of operation, and of course it does what it's supposed to do, which is draw on. So let's go ahead and get started inking one of those Christmas Yetis. Alright, so here we are. We're going to be working in Photoshop today, of course. I use Photoshop primarily for my sketch and concepting because the Photoshop file is compatible with a lot of other programs such as Clip Studio Paint, Sketchbook Pro, you know, and I just like using it. So here we are. Here's all the Christmas Yetis. I love Christmas Yetis. Oh, I had such fun doing these. And I had originally anticipated on doing some, you know, maybe 12 days of Christmas Yetis or something like that. But, you know, life sometimes gets in the way, and it's just one of those deals where I had to prioritize, you know, work over something, you know, something like this. So, that being said, man, there's a lot of them, right? So, which one do we want? Which one do we want? I really like this one a lot. So I think we're going to go ahead and hit this one. I do like that one a lot too. But this one really is gosh, he's just so much fun. So I'm working on Lenovo today. With the Xencelabs tablet, this is a very large tablet. And it comes, you know, the media bundle comes with this quick key remote, which is absolutely phenomenal. You program it via their app, and it's attached to your machine via a wireless dongle. You can go USB-C. You can see the USB-C connector right there, and they do provide multiple, you know, multiple cables to do that. A lot of people have asked me, you know, what is the best? This is, you know, a very, I don't want to say it's a loaded question, but it is one of those questions. Let's go ahead into green. What was that? Yellow? Green. It is one of those questions where sometimes it's, you know, I just don't know the answer to it. Okay, there we go. And I'm talking about what is the best tablet. You know, these days it's kind of hard to say, oh, this tablet is better than this tablet, because, you know, a lot of the tablets have really stepped up their tablet game. And Xencelabs is one of those companies that I think is really going to be somebody to watch for. I've seen some of the indicators on the internet. They're like, oh, it's a Wacom killer. You know, I got to be honest with you. I've used Wacom products since 1997, and their products are very consistent, but one of the things that I think really that Wacom falls short on would probably be customer service. You know, a while back I had a Cintiq companion that the power port failed. The power port, you know, where you plug in the power into the side of the machine, and it failed. And you know, there was a well-known flaw, and the one that I had was a refurbished unit through Wacom. and they didn't want to repair it. And I think that they just want to really brush it under the rug, so to say, and just kind of forget that that particular unit was really a failure. It was the i7, and you know, back in the day they were expensive. You're looking at $2,500 for the machine, and you know, if you pay that much, I didn't pay that much. I think I paid $1,000, but still $1,000 was a lot of money. And their customer service, it just, you know, granted there is a warranty period, but whenever it comes to design flaws and things that they're aware of, and they don't want to honor certain things. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking the power cord. I cut the power cord, I opened the machine, and I soldered it directly to the motherboard. So I kind of solved the problem myself, and it's still in use today. I had given it to a buddy of mine, and he still uses it, believe it or not. So customer service, you know, it's like a package deal whenever you're talking about these companies. You know, you want great products, but you also want good customer service and support. And I don't have any experience with Xencelabs and their customer support, and I can't really say that they're good or not, but their initial product offering, which is this tablet, among, you know, their other offerings, their smaller tablet, has been fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Over 8,000 levels of pressure sensitivity with, you know, they give you multiple pins, and the fit and finish of the product is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm excited to see their next offering, which I believe will be released sometime in January. I'm hoping in January, you know, the first quarter, which is going to be their display tablet. I hope that's what's going to happen. Not that I know anything. I don't know anything. I'm just predicting just the way that the market goes. I'm hoping that that's something that they'll release. And when they do, I'm going to get my hands on one of them because I'm super excited. I'm a tablet draw-on kind of guy, and I'm always looking for, quote-unquote, that best tablet. What's the best tablet all-in-one that you have? What's the best one? So far, I think, you know, this Lenovo is really good. It's really fast. Now, this is an older model. I think this is a 2018. But that being said, with that multi-core processor, and it's really fast, and I don't have typically any issues lag-wise. And if any issues do arise, it really doesn't have anything to do with the hardware. It has everything to do with the software, you know, Windows. So that being said, the new Surface devices look pretty significant. And I'm pretty excited about those. I haven't got my hands on one of those just yet. Maybe one day I will. So what am I doing? So right now I'm just going through and putting a definitive line to my sketch. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't really have to do that. You know, my sketch, I typically go in and I'll refine and define, but this one's kind of loose, so I'm just literally going back and just using the tablet to put in a more definitive line. So whenever I go in and put in that fun color, you know, you can see the sketch a little bit better. You know, I did have a moment recently. If you've noticed, I haven't posted a lot of videos. I had a medical challenge recently that had to deal, you know, with me going to the doctor multiple times, and then, you know, actually I had to end up going to the emergency room for an infection, and you know, those are scary moments, especially in today's day and age with, you know, all the COVID issues. Now, it was not COVID related, so, or Omicron or Decepticon or whatever you want to call it, so I didn't have anything like that happen. But on the other hand, the infection was very real and it was a little challenging. But I came out on the other side and I'm doing fantastic now. The people here at the local hospital, just really great. My physician was absolutely phenomenal. She really, really stepped up. Undo. Why isn't my eraser working? It's supposed to be eraser right here. Oh, duh. I'm so used to working on different tablet models, I forget that this particular tablet does have an eraser. So, why Yetis? Why did I draw Yetis? First of all, I'm a huge Bigfoot guy. I love cryptozoology. I love the whole legends behind all of these mysterious things that have happened in our world that quote-unquote can't be explained away very easily. And of course, Yeti does have a very long lineage in terms of history in Himalayas. So, up there, he's a little bit different than what I'm depicting here. He's the friendly Yeti. This particular Yeti, his name's Lenny. I sat there one day. I think last time I was with you guys, drawing, we came up with his name. Actually, he came up with his name. I was drawing him and he told me. That sounds kind of dumb. And you're like, dude, you've been sitting in that studio too long and drawing pictures too long. You got your pictures talking to you. Well, yeah and no. So in the creative process, I'm looking at the character, and I'm constantly going into the mindset of the character, trying to figure out what makes the most sense in the context of what I see and my mind's eye and the vision. And that's part and partial to the whole creative process in my brain. So I'll sit here and I'll draw and I'll draw and I'll draw, and I am thinking form. Sorry about that. Had to do a complete restart. Yeah, restart. It's always my fave. Not really. I think it's ridiculous. Right? It completely froze the machine, which is interesting. It wouldn't go out of Photoshop. So maybe that's an anomaly that needs to be worked out. I don't know. Either way, got her situated. We're good to go now. Just blocking in the feet right now. Not really sure if this is exactly what I need to be doing, but that's okay. I've got that underlying sketch to help me out, right? And if you notice, a lot of times I'll zoom out. I had somebody say, man, you know what I learned from this video? He zooms in and out like 50 times. It makes me sick. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. It's force of habit. I typically have another monitor over here where I have the image that is in its entirety, and I can see, and I just go over there and I refer to it. But whenever I do these videos, especially these all-in-ones, I don't have that secondary monitor, so I do have to keep zooming in and out. So my apologies. I don't mean to make you sick. Alright, so let's give him this fur kind of juts out from his little belly. Because he's been eating a couple caribou here and there. He likes caribou. Right. Okay. Yeah, he's so silly. So silly. Yeah, if you notice, some of the elements that I had drawn before are not there. It's because I had to redraw some of it. No big deal. It only takes a minute, right? And sometimes you see things. You see things. There are things that you see. So that you want to fix. Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully you guys are having a great holiday season. Like I said, Christmas is one of my favorite times of the year. I also like fall/Halloween. I love the change in seasons. I used to live in Florida, and we really didn't have a lot of change in seasons. And those of you who do live in Florida or in a climate that doesn't have a lot of variances in temperature throughout the year, then you'll understand, 90 degrees at Christmas time is no bueno. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want, tons of snow and whatnot, but, years and years and years. I mean, I didn't have a lot of pants. I had shorts and I wore flip-flops all year round, and you know, I had a Jeep Wrangler. For those of you overseas who don't know what that is, just Google it, you'll see. And I kept the top off, and I only had a simple bikini top on there. And you know, that's how I rolled. You know, I love the outdoor lifestyle. I love being outdoors. I love feeling outdoors. So whenever I moved here up in the mountains, and we actually have seasons. I mean, this morning, right outside that window right there, it's 33 degrees. So it's cold for my standard. You know, I'm typically warm-natured, so I deal much better with heat than I do cold. Cold makes me hurt. And those of you that are a little bit older, you're like, yeah, cold hurts. And those of you who are young, they're like, I'm invincible. Bring it. Yeah, I used to be invincible too. I did. You know, I was invincible. It's so funny. I can remember, gosh, listening to the old people talk, and you know, they would joke about being old. And, you know, of course, I'm like, you're old. Ooh. And now that I'm a little bit older, I'm like, yeah, they were right. Everything hurts. Get up in the morning and you're like, even if you work out, you know, and you stay active, you still have that pain quotient that is constantly, you know, beating at your door, depending on what you do. You know, I could go for a walk. I go for a bike ride the next day. I hurt. You know, it takes me a little bit longer to to recover. All right, not too bad. Just a couple little quips that I ended up losing. Not a big deal. Sometimes you have to go through the fire before you can get the goodie. Right? Sometimes you just have to pay your dues. Pay your dues there, Holmes. So, I turned off a couple things. I turned off the Wi-Fi because I thought maybe I was having an issue. And for those of you who work on PCs all the time, you're laughing. You're like, ha 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 ha, Mac boy. You get to feel what we feel every single day. Just the weirdness. Yeah, has nothing to do with the tablet because it did it on a couple of my other tablets that I had hooked to this machine. And recently, I tried to review another tablet from another company, and lo and behold, it wouldn't even connect to this machine. So this one's running Windows 11. If you guys are having some challenges with Windows 11, I highly recommend you just go back to 10. 10 seems to be a little bit more stable, at least, you know, on older machines. So definitely take your life in your own hands, man. Okay, so, and then I turned OpenCL off. So OpenCL is a graphics accelerator component that helps Photoshop, I guess, work a little bit better and faster on PCs. I don't use OpenCL on a Mac because it uses metal, especially on the new M1s. So, but it seems to be doing okay. Okay, so now that we have our sketch, let's go ahead and turn that off. We're going to go back to our sketch layer right here, and we're going to do what I like to call variation of line weight. So, variation of line weight is the thickness and the thinness of the line. So, let's go ahead, I'll show you an example. I'm going to go ahead and turn tilt on. This tablet does support tilt. Tilt, yes, tilt. And you can see, as I'm going to make that brush a little bit bigger. Let's go back. Okay, so here's the brush, if you can see it. Right there. I'm going to go ahead and tilt this, and you see how it tilts? And it tilts depending on the tilt of the angle and the position of the pen. So I like tilt because it gives me a little bit more control when it comes to variation of line weight. So let's go ahead and make that a little bit lower. And this little icon up here that looks like a target with a arrow going into the center, that has to do with taper. So if I turn this off, it's going to take it's going to encompass the entire area of the brush area. So the entire area of the brush area. That was a profound statement. But if I turn this on, it's going to depend on pressure. So I get a nice, simple, easy line. And the harder I push, then you see how whenever it turns, you can see this variation of line weight. Variation of line weight is important because it helps define form. It also gives life to the drawing. And it pushes and pulls different forms in 3D space. So if I want this hand right here to look like it's coming forward, what I'll do is I'll darken in some of these elements right here on the bottom. And what that does, just that little bit right there, brings that hand forward on top of that Christmas ornament. So then we come here and we're going to push this a little bit darker. Again, to pull it off of his face. And the horns. And this right here is going to be darker. Again, because I want that to be pulled forward. And since I'm not going in and doing a bunch of hash drawings, like, you know, hash marks like this, you know, using this variation of line weight will help you define your drawing a little bit better and give it a little bit more life. Okay. Again, this goes here, and we're going to make it a little bit darker on the bottom. And since this is on the bottom, again, you're thinking gravity pulling, you're going to have, you know, whenever you have those overlapping lines, one of the lines is going to be in front of the other line, so you're going to want to have one of those be darker depending on where it is in 3D space. So like right here, how the front of his belly comes out, this is going to be darker. And as I go down, I'm gonna darken up, like right here. It's nice and dark. Again, because it's in front, and since it has a little bit of gravity pulling down on that skin fold, I want to make sure and darken that up just slightly. And it helps. These little details will help push your drawing forward. And it doesn't take long to do it, you know? And a lot of people ask me, what about fur? How do you do fur? Oop, I had one of my critters fall. How do you do fur? I always am the firm believer and in the camp of less is more. So I don't want to draw every hair. I just want to give an indication because I don't want it to be the focal point of the drawing. I just want it to be part of the drawing. So could I go in and do this? Yeah, could I? I mean, just a little bit here and there. Just give an indication. And also the direction of the fur. Because you have this, you know, his head comes up. And it's on top, so I've got this large plane up here. And then as it comes down, I'm not going to be drawing it straight like this because again, that plane wraps around. There's a curvature to it. So I want it to follow that curved line right there. And that's basically what I'm doing with the fur. And I'm a little bit darker with this ornament. Because again, it's in front, so we're going to come around. And this is going to be darker. And you see, again, fur direction this way, fur direction this way, and I'm not drawing straight down, and I'm not drawing horizontal. I'm following the curvature of his body to help accentuate that form a little bit better. Okay? He's so fun. He's like, look! Ornaments! Constantly in my brain. Okay, making sure, yep. I have to keep checking my camera because the battery that I have in there, even though I purchased 2 new batteries, I like the battery that it came with, but it doesn't have that great of a charge capacity, even though I've charged it. So I always have to make sure and keep an eye. I'm keeping an eye on it, man. Making sure that I don't run out of juice. An indication of a bottom lip there, just slightly. Again, not going overboard. That's important to remember, not going overboard. You know, the details are great, but you don't want to keep pushing and pulling and cramming it, you know, full of stuff that's not necessary. Balance. It's the balance of time. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to do, I guess, a white color. Kind of a white hue. Now, there's a couple ways I can do this. I can do color by number, so let's go ahead and save. File. Save. Recovered. You can see my computer's crashed twice. So that's fine. We'll just do recovered. Oh, I forgot something. I can see it. I forgot to connect right here. Shh. Oops, wrong color. I forgot to connect right there. Don't tell anybody. Shh. I get all caught up in talking to you peeps. Working on this device. Now, this form factor of drawing in front and then having the screen in front, I think that's probably the most ideal. I have had it to where the tablet's to the side and the screen is up here, and there is a disconnect, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. It's not anything that, you know, that is a deal breaker when it comes to tablets like this. I typically draw right on the screen, typically like a sketchbook, but in a pinch, in a travel moment, you know, in demos and stuff like this is the way that I started my artistic career. So I do have a little bit of experience whenever it comes to drawing on tablets like this. I'm not just a display tablet person. Okay, that's a little bit too blue. So like I was saying, you can go ahead and do it like this, which is pretty quick depending on, you know, I can make the brush quite big. And then you see there is no real lag. Now I'm going to show you a trick. So when I'm doing this, I'm trying to go in the direction of the fur because it does make a difference. Let's go, okay, taper's on, that's fine. And you're like, well, you're not covering everything. Yeah, but I'm going to show you something here in a second. It's not really a trick, it's just common sense. Excuse me. He's so cute. Look at him. Oh my gosh. He's just so cute. Cute is a formula. Some people can't draw cute, some people can. I just happen to be one of those guys that, you know, likes cute. I like cute, I'm sorry. It's just the way I am. So you can draw like this, you can do it like this, and I like having the control of this instead of just doing a blanket fill because, again, I'm taking advantage of that texture. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger. So I'm going in the direction, and we're going to come down here, and you can see there's a little bit of overlap, and I'm going to show you here. I'm not really concerned with any of that. Just give me a second, Mr. Impatience. Fine. Mr. Color Block in. Now you can also use the lasso tool where you go in, you're like, ah, la 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 la, edit, fill, foreground color, and that seems select, deselect. Now that seems like a more reasonable way because you're getting a nice color inlay fill, which is fine. But again, I like having that texture there. It gives me a little bit more control. And ultimately, if I'm like, you know what, I don't like the texture at all, it just isn't doing it for me, G, I can say, hey, you know, layer, and I click on my alt, and I drag that down, and it and see, you can basically 2, 3, and then I come here, and I just, you know, layer, merge, down, layer, merge, down, and then I have that top layer right there. Layer, merge down. So now we have our sketch layer, whoops, we have our sketch layer, and then we have our fill layer. So I can go in and just start getting some of those areas that maybe I missed. Yeah, keeping it simple, You know, not staying in the lines too much. Again, this is a loosey-goosey, having fun. So we're going to go back, we're going to find a blue, that blue hue right there. I'm going to color in his, whoops, Control, whoops, Alt, sample that color. Forgot to color in right there. What are you doing? Alright. Yeah, I wonder if the OpenCL plugin or whatever that thing is for the video card. I'm not sure. I think there's an update to the Intel graphics card. This doesn't really have a powerful graphics card. I think it's the HD 620, 820, 800. With the new processors, everything is integrated. Excuse me. Whoops, that's a little bit too dark. Everything's integrated, and with the ARM chips, and this is kind of the beginning. This particular machine still has some of that old technology, but it also has some of the new. So that chip, that integrated chip, whoops, let's erase some of that because I'm getting some bleed through that I don't particularly like. That integrated chip, even though good, it shares a lot of system, it bears a lot of load. So if you throw Photoshop at it, it's going to take system resources, it's going to take RAM, it's going to use all those things to render not only the screen, but also render the brush. And it's doing a pretty good job, but I think with, you start throwing multiple things at it, it starts buckling a little bit. Again, it's a 2018 model, which is not bad. You would think 2018, and it's got a i7 8-core processor, I think. So it is pretty powerful. So I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. It is pretty powerful, but again, with the new processors and the way that they're developing them, it will eventually need to be replaced. Just like with every machine, What is the shelf life of your computer? What is the use life? Not the shelf life. So let's go ahead and zoom in. Hopefully it won't die. Nice. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. And you can hear the fans not really coming on. So it is a decent machine. I mean, it's not horrid. And look at him, he's so cute. Okay, let's go ahead and sample that color. Make sure we get it in the color wheel over here, and we'll do his horns. His horns are so good. Like I said, the pressure curve on this particular machine, the lead-in, the machine being the tablet, and plus one of the great things about this tablet that I think is overlooked is the fact that it is wireless. So wireless, and the tablet itself is wireless. Now in a pinch, if you run out of power, you can take the USB-C and plug it into the side of the machine, but that wireless USB dongle that's in the side takes care of that signal for you. And again, it is just a wonderful drawing experience. I've seen a couple of other people, really sing the praises of what Xencelabs is doing over there. And man, I just can't wait to get hold of the display tablet. Oh my gosh! If this is any indicator of what is coming, good grief, good grief. Okay, you look so cute. Oh my gosh! Okay, so let's go down to white. Let's create a layer underneath. And again, this is just having fun, guys. We're having fun, man. It's Christmas. It's Christmas time. Once again, Christmas time. Once again, Alright, it's enough of that. I think I'm going to keep the texture there. Do-do-do, that was my wife calling. Alright, so we put in the ground plane, we blocked in the local color. I just checked my battery, and we're going to have to change the battery here in a second. But let's go ahead and do this. We'll do this. Undo. We need to move that layer up one. Let's go ahead and zoom in. We will shrink the brush. Okay, so you guys hear the clicking. I've got this particular, let's go back. Yeah, I've got it adjusted to where it changes the size of the brush. Let's go ahead and down. Now what's great about this is you can pre-program the colors. So you click it, Photoshop layer mode, zoom mode, rotate mode, and brush size. So I've got it for brush size. And whenever you get it, there is a pre-program, but you just go into the app and you can change whatever you want. If you wanted to do this and that and this, and you wanted to do the dishes, I'm sure at some point in time they will have that option. Or not, I could be completely out of my gourd. Okay. Christmas Yetis are so fun. Look at my balls! Christmas balls! I shouldn't have said that. My wife will be mad. Honey, you can't say that. Don't tell me what I can do and can't do. Or maybe you can say that. Maybe you can tell me. To be honest with you, every person needs some type of balance in their life. If you're married and you go for that thing, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever you have, that balance, that other person, whoever they are, maybe it's if you're not into relationships, maybe you have a robot friend that you can talk to and bounce things off of. It's important that you can bounce things off of somebody. And my wife is that for me, you know. Okay, Alt, copy. See, again, the texture's still there. Layer, merge down. Oops, undo. I made a boo-boo. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Layer. March down. Fantastic. Good grief. Okay, let's go ahead and put in some of that silver. Let me see some of that silver. That's not light enough. Let's go a little bit lighter. I recently had the opportunity to watch the Rankin and Bass Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and I watch it with my daughter every single year. My daughter's in her 20s now, and we've been doing that since basically she could sit in my hand and she could dance her little dance, and she was so small. I laugh about that. But she was very tiny, and I remember having her sit on my lap, and we would watch it every single year. We also watch the Charlie Brown Christmas and Charlie Brown the Great Pumpkin, and we do all these little traditions, her and I, and my son not so much. He watches stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, he still loves to watch whatnot. We have our traditions, but my daughter and I, we did the same thing with Star Wars. So that's why she's a Star Wars nerd. Let's go ahead and put some sun's glasses. Anyway, so come to find out, all of the puppets that were in the Rankin and Bass collection there, they were given to secretaries and individuals in the Rankin and Bass company, and throughout the years they were on display at Christmas time. They were Christmas decorations, these incredibly iconic items, and pretty much they all got destroyed or thrown in the garbage or some in the attic. I guess this year somebody found some or sold some, and they're actually on display in Atlanta at the Puppet Museum. There's 2 of them. There's Santa Claus and Rudolph. They had to be restored, of course. But man, I would love to go see those. It's like part of my childhood. Now, I'm not that old, so I think it's 1964 when the original program came on. But I watch it every single year, and it's just like stepping back in time. Now, there's some, don't get me wrong, you watch it now and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, Rudolph's parents were horrible. Santa was a horrible person, you know? But overall, I think if you can overlook some of those horrible things, and there are underlying tones, don't get me wrong, there's always underlying tones, you know, whether it's political or whatever. But it is a fun program to watch if you have the ability to watch that. So let's go ahead and we'll do. I didn't think I was going to do real time on this. I didn't think I was. Shut up and draw, monkey boy. All right, fine. So let's go ahead and sample. We'll do a couple little highlights here and there. I don't want to get too out of control with it because, again, this is supposed to be a rendered piece. Supposed to have some fun with it. Whoops. Okay, then we'll sample this. We'll change the hue a little bit lighter. Gonna have that light source in the same, so gonna be upper. So let's do it right here. Make that brush really big. Oops. Do some reflected light here. Oops. A little bit stronger. Now we're going to go a little bit over here. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, now we're going to... What are we doing? Here, there's the sketch. Okay, so now we're going to add a layer. We're going to go to multiply. And we're going to go to this nice, cool purple. Turn taper off. Brush. And let's see what she looks like. Okay. First thing we got to do is save. I don't want to crash. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm just going to put in some simple shadows, and I love this texture. Brush. Just putting in some simple shadows here and there, accentuating the forms. Right, this arm's going to be in shadow. A little bit here and there. We're not going to overdo it. Right, it's going to be simple. Simple shadows. Now, if you notice, if I draw, I can actually go out of the character, and that's okay. Typically, what I'll do is I'll do a layer mask or a clipping mask underneath. But just for speed, I just decided to just do this. Okay. Make it a little bit bigger. Again, we're gonna have that shadow come around, and it's on top of everything, so if I accidentally go over, as you see, whoops, darker here, then we're going to come down and we'll do this. It'll be great. A couple little shadows here and there. A shadow right there. You know, the principles, oops, qualities of, whoops, I think we're blinking. Little bit of a small hiccup with the battery changing, not a big deal. Continuing on with putting in some of the shadow layer. Again, just having a little bit of fun here and there. Not doing too much, not doing it. Not gonna make it too difficult, just gonna have some fun. I think I say that a lot, right? Drawing is supposed to be something that you have fun at, and those of us who have a career at it, I think, can sometimes make it into something that it should never be, which is drudgery. You know, I never want to get to a point in my career when I think, oh, I gotta go draw characters today. Oh. You know, sometimes whenever I think about 3D work, I kind of have that same mindset. You know, 3D work is challenging for me. You know, it takes a different set of brain cells and thinking three-dimensionally all the time, and it is challenging for me. I think the 3D artists, you know, I really respect them. I used to have an opinion about 3D artists because a lot of them don't draw, and I kind of had, you know, a judgmental viewpoint. But now that I do a lot of 3D work, you know, the 3D artist, it takes a different kind of an egg to be a 3D artist, to be honest with you. And to convert from 2D or even digital illustration over to 3D, it is a challenge. And, you know, big props out to those guys and gals who are working in the 3D world right now. You guys really, you know, I've been schooled, put it that way. I have been completely schooled whenever it comes to working in the 3 dimensions. It is a challenge, to say the least. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I put an overlay layer on. I'm just going to go in and put some simple highlights in. Rotate brush size. You know, just a couple little highlights here and there to accentuate things a little bit more. Maybe his upper lip. You can see just a little bit really helps out. Let's get rid of that blinking. That blinking irritates me to no end. That blinking, by the way, if you're having the same issue, that blinking issue happens. It only happens on my PCs, and it's happened on multiple PCs. I tried to fix it a while back, and it seems it's a Photoshop PC issue. And it might be just with the all-in-ones with these, you know, these integrated graphics cards. It just doesn't like whenever the menus are up. So if I get rid of the menus, the blinking stops. And I thought at first maybe it was an OpenCL issue, but now I'm just like, no. And then I thought it was a Windows 10 issue, but it's not. It has to do with Photoshop and Windows itself. So if you're having that same issue, you know the pain that I go through whenever it comes to working on these PC machines. My main machine, I've said this before, is a Mac, and I do that because of all the updates and stuff. I pause the updates on these machines, but the second I get on, I'm always concerned with maybe, you know, there's a graphics card issue that needs to be addressed, and maybe there's a security issue that needs to be addressed. So I turn on the auto updater, and lo and behold, yes, there's tons of updates, and it takes an hour. I wonder how much time in the world has been wasted, work time, just for the Windows updater. And maybe I could send them a giant freaking bill saying, you owe me this amount of money for protecting me. So I digress. I'm just having some fun. I'm having some fun. Okay, so I think we're right at the place where we need to be. Let's go ahead and do just a small little background element. So let's do full screen. Okay, so let's go all the way to the bottom. We'll add a layer. And since he lives in the Great White North, let's do this blue. I want to go like green yellow. I'm probably going to regret it. I'll do a hue shift here in a second. I'm just, again, playing around to see what's going to be the best fit color-wise. Go ahead and turn taper on. I want a little bit of an element here just to have some fun. You know. Always watching my silhouette. You know, I don't want to do this. That makes no sense. So that silhouette is still standing out pretty well. Yeah. Okay, let's make this a little bit brighter, a little bit yellower. Let's turn that taper off. I think it's a little close in hue to this green. I want it to, you know, not only be balanced, but also want it to bounce out a little bit. So I'll go to Image, Adjustment, Hue Saturation. So I can mess around with the hue a little bit. Here's that blue. I do like the blue a lot. Orange, no, red, purple. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I love that. Yes. You know, sometimes it's just the color bounces and it pops and you're like, ooh, snap. So then we'll do just a little bit of outlining here. Simple. You know, let's do full screen. And I think that's where we're going to land with this one today. Let's go back. I got a save file. Save, I'm always cautious whenever it comes to that. Yeah, so much fun. So much fun. And that's where I wanted to land with you guys today. So I've already done a review of the Xencelabs Medium tablet, and I sang its praises up and down. Not only the tablet, but also this quick key remote that comes in the bundle. You know, I can't sing its praises enough. I had some computer issues today. Let's be real. You know, Photoshop sometimes after an update does have its issues. And a lot of times we tend to blame the peripherals or we blame the hardware when in actuality, you know, on different platforms, not only for Mac and PC, you have all these variables that are occurring. You know, I had a buddy of mine once say that if I was going to work on a PC, one of the things I should always do or never do is to update the machine. And I said to him, that does make a lot of sense because there's constant updates, update drivers, it makes the computer faster, and it helps things communicate better, the graphics card. He goes, yeah, but what ends up happening is you have all these fragmented companies that are pushing these drivers out that a lot of times they don't even communicate with the developers of the OS. So Windows 11 is a great OS and there are challenges, but that being said, right now, I still think it's in its infancy. I wouldn't update to Windows 11. I'd stay at Windows 10 if you can. Windows 11 is beautiful, and it's got a lot of great things going for it. But again, if you have an older machine like mine, 2018, I'd tend to stay in the Windows 10 realm. So, that being said, once again, the Xencelabs tablet is fantastic. It is just a tool, and hopefully you guys see that even though it's a fantastic tool, it doesn't do the work for you. That's what's really important. You know, a lot of these tablet companies, you know, they put out their products and they have this fantastic artwork that they put with it, or they display a video and you have these guys and gals that review it, and you see these pictures and you see these drawings and you say to yourself, man, I can do that. Yes, you can, but it takes a degree of diligence and hard work and commitment that a lot of people aren't prepared for, and they get discouraged so much. You know, this drawing adventure that I've been on for, gosh, you know, going on 20 plus 23, 24, 25 years, I am still learning so much. You know, these digital tools that are developing all the time are constantly changing and constantly getting better and eliminating all those variables that really inhibit us from creativity. You know, I've always been one of those guys that says the computer actually inhibits you from creativity because it's stopping you from feeling what that paper feels like, feeling that pencil pressure. You know, they're constantly developing these products to emulate the one thing that as artists and people who create visual things can go to instantaneously, and that's pencil and paper. You know, there's a lot of benefits to digital work, but also there's a lot of benefits to traditional work. That's why I work in both arenas. So, you know, these tools are great, but there's never going to be a substitute for hard work, diligence, and even if you have a degree of talent, that's only going to take you so far. You know, you have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort to get better. And hopefully these videos that I create will show you an aspect that says, hey, I'm a working professional and I still haven't landed, you know, and arrived. That's why, you know, you need to have that moment in time where you say to yourself, I need to work a little bit harder. I need to get better. You know, be your own biggest critic. If you look at your work and you say, yeah, that's good enough, if it's good enough for you, a lot of times maybe it's not good enough for the next guy who's looking and paying you for stuff. So always be your hardest critic. Push yourself, push yourself to learn more, get better. Pick a, whenever I teach, I say to students, I say, if you want to get better, pick a subject, whether it's an animal, a human, a body part, and you draw that and draw that and draw that and investigate and learn the anatomy of it, and constantly leveling up and learning and getting better. That's kind of where I'm at with my channel. I want to imbue to you guys that even though that, I have a career and I'm working in a career, I'm constantly looking for better avenues and ways to do my visual artwork. So that being said, the Xencelabs medium tablet, great. I've already reviewed it, fantastic. I can't wait for that next tablet to come out so I can see exactly what they're going to do with it. That visual, that display tablet. I don't know when it's going to come out, but hopefully you guys had fun with the Christmas Yeti. I had so much fun with it, and this is out of my sketchbook, out of my digital sketchbook. I encourage you to go back into your sketchbooks, your digital sketchbooks, your whatever you do, and to see what kind of cool stuff. Sometimes we forget some of those drawings that we've done, and we get to rediscover. It's like a new gem that we rediscover. So, happy holidays to everyone out there. Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you want to, call it. Happy holidays, and go out and enjoy the holidays with somebody special, whoever it may be. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.